have been the LA Dodgers, right? Even if there was some sort of luxury tax. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do I got to pay? Okay, that's fine. Sorry, I'm a little late. I got stuck in an interview, and then I said, "Oh no."
Oh, well, you know what happened? Because we were running late with Steven, and Steven did not want to talk about Micah and his contract, and said, no, nothing good's going to happen. Now, we've been down this road many, many times, and they've been talking a lot. I think we're at the anger stage of negotiations, or at least we were the other day. I'm kind of thinking if they want to stop talking about it, does that mean they're actually talking again and we're getting close? Like CeeDee Lamb last year, no problem talking about it. Then let's go nonverbal about things. And then all of a sudden CeeDee showed up.
Yeah, you never know what's the breaking point, not only for the team, but the player too. You know, the one thing that, you know, I know everybody criticizes the Cowboys for dragging their feet on these contracts, but you don't know what the other side's asking for.
Yep.
You know, and if I'm the agent, I know that potentially I can get $40 million a year, but I'm going to ask for 50.
Yeah.
And they might just say, well, okay, I'll give you 45. And then, okay, now that's great. You know what market value is for the top player at the position, but doesn't mean you're going to settle for it. And then there's other things. There's, you know, you got to negotiate how much is guaranteed, how much signing bonus are you going to give. And so those are things that I think the Cowboys thought they had them knocked out before the agent got involved. And then things kind of slowed down, and you knew it was going to happen, right?
Yeah. It's the Cowboys.
Micah said, no. Micah said, yeah, I don't have to be the highest paid player at my position. And I'm sure the agent was like, shut up. And not just him, but the NFLPA.
Sure.
Because they want the market value to go higher so the next guy gets even more than that. And they watch that stuff, believe me. You know, they a lot of times accuse the owners of collusion. Well, the players in the NFLPA does it too. Think of what happened in the second round, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
First two guys got guaranteed contracts. Now all 30 teams want, or players in the second round want guaranteed contracts, and they weren't signing. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. To me, like what Jake Ferguson did, he was smart. He got his money a year ahead of when it was due, right? And generally, when you get your money earlier, you give the team a break because, you know, they're not having to pay whatever the market value goes up. But think about this: he would have been a free agent March, whatever. He put $12 million in the bank already yesterday. I'm not an accountant, but $12 million in some sort of account should mean something, right? And it's got some value to it. And he's not taking the risk of playing on the final year of a contract and you get hurt. And then how do you go into the next season and market yourself? Say it, you know, it happens late and free agency begins. You're not going to go into, I don't know, name a team, Tennessee, on crutches and say, well, I want to make this, right? And you can't even walk into the facility. Dak walked the thin ice on that in 2020, if you remember, when he decided to play on the franchise tag, right? And then he suffers that injury. And it could have been career. It was close, right? And that could have been it. And they would have been offering him, you know, whatever the signing bonus was at that point, and he doesn't get it. So there's two sides to this stuff. And I think maybe, I mean, I'm older than you guys, but I was going to say when we get older, we think money in hand means a lot more than trying to make more money, right? It's like, I got it now, right? Not that I've ever had it, but but you know, I think the player needs to take that into consideration, and the fact they're in a state that doesn't charge state income tax.
Boy, isn't that the truth? And you know, Mickey, I think that's exactly what Steven meant, although he doesn't want to comment on it. We asked him when he said Micah's got to want to get paid.
Yes.
And I think you see a Jake Ferguson who did want to get paid, wanted to get it done, and Micah may be asking for a little bit more than the Cowboys, at least for now, are willing to pay.
And he said that when we did the deal with him, I guess it was Sunday when he was talking about Jake Ferguson, And he said, we pay players who want to get paid. And now, obviously, get paid what we're offering or, come into a compromise. So no one knows what Mike is asking for. So are the Cowboys dragging their feet because they just didn't cave and pay all this? I wish I had my notes with me. I was figuring out the Cowboys had 4 guys this year against the cap, not counting Micah's $24 million. They were going to count $97 million, right? Next year, those 4 guys are going to count 100 and I think it was 20 or 30 million. Plus, you got to add in Micah, right? So the cap is real. I know people say, oh, there's ways to get around it. Well, there is for 1 year because you sign them to a signing bonus and you give them basically what Ferguson got, like a $1.4 million base salary. But you got 12, so that's $13 million you made this year. And so they'll continue when you have star players to have salary cap problems.
Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Math is hard. Let's talk football.
Yeah, right.
Tyler Guyton goes down. Thankfully, not an ACL, but he is going to miss the rest of training camp. What of all the potential replacements there? We've been hearing a lot about Nate Thomas.
Yes.
I don't know how to judge offensive linemen, to be honest. But what is it that Nate has been doing that's got everybody talking about him?
Well, I don't know if it's everybody talking about him, but the coaching staff thinks, oh, my gosh, look what we have. And had Guyton not gone down, maybe they don't – because he was working second team. And I think we were all assuming that Austin Richards was going to be the backup swing tackle. Well, all of a sudden, this Nate Thomas, the 7th-round pick the Cowboys gave up on and then brought him back, starts playing, and now they're going, oh, this guy can play. We got to see it out. And I think Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator / offensive line coach, because that's what he was to get that job, he gets to see Nate Thomas, and he made the point. You hate when guys get hurt, but it's an opportunity for us to see other guys that we may never have seen before. And he's made an impression. Awesome Richards is getting more snaps. The other guy that made an impression, and he would have never got this deal, Steele suffered his injury, and Adeniji, who I'm still trying to remember how to spell his name, right? I would have never bothered with it before. Now it's like, well, this guy could be a swing tackle. So they got a couple guys that now are going to get opportunities. I'm not saying they're going to become stars, but they get an opportunity that they wouldn't have had if those top guys don't get hurt. Same thing at guard with Rob Jones, who, by the way, they say he got a broken bone in his neck. Well, you know what the bone in your neck is? It's your vertebrae.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he ended up, I think he suffered it early in the practice and didn't say anything. How dangerous would that have been, right?
Yes.
And then after practice, well, I don't think I need to see the doctor. And then they go, and that's what they find. So now there's going to be some guards. They're going to get more snaps. T.J. Bass will get some. Brock Hoffman will get some. So they got some guys that can, Awesome Richards moved inside to take some snaps at guard. So these guys, this is your opportunity. Don't waste it if you think you got a career in the NFL.
Mickey, it's and short on time, but I want to ask you this. For a guy like Tyler Guyton, who didn't have the best of years last year, but that jump, missing training camp, it's going to hurt him, don't you think?
No, absolutely. He needed this training camp because last year he had some nicks and bruises and didn't get all the snaps you would have liked him to get. I thought Clayton Adams made a pretty interesting statement up there today. He said, you really can't judge a young offensive lineman until they get 20 starts. 20 starts. Wow. This kid didn't get 20 starts at tackle in college, if I believe. He only had 9 his senior year at Oklahoma. I think it was 9 of 14 games, something like that. So he was young, and he had never played left tackle. And, they were going to use Chuma Adoga and kind of slide him in. And then Chuma gets hurt right away in training camp and then suffers an injury and misses most of the season. And it's like, okay, big boy, you got to play. and there were things I'm sure that he wasn't ready for. And average at best. But in the off season, they started seeing him kind of turning the corner. He did a better job with his diet. Lost a little weight, but put on some better muscle. He needed to get stronger and just kind of figure out the game. And I'll tell you what kind of kid he is. So he grew up just outside Austin? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yep.
Nate Newton's on our podcast, and we were talking about it, and Nate was saying, he needs to do this better, and he's got to just do this, and he needs snaps. So the other day at practice, Nate's on the sideline. Guyton comes up to him, and he goes, probably said Mr. Newton. He said, I heard what you said about me. And Nate's sitting there going, oh, no. He goes, and I'd like to hear more for what you have to say. And anytime you got any tips for me, let me know. And I'm going, whoa,
wow.
That's impressive, right? Because usually kids that age, and we all might have been there. It's like we know it all. We don't need to ask these old people stuff. But he was genuinely interested. And I know last year, his dad came to training camp. I don't know if he was here when you guys were, but his dad came and he was watching everything. And I remember talking to him. He introduced himself, and he was a former college athlete. And I said, well, get this guy ready. He goes, I can get him ready mentally. The physical part's got to be here, right? I can stay on him. And so at least he's got a support group. And so we'll see what happens. 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe he gets, and certainly not a torn ACL, which would have been devastating, awful. Right? So, we'll see where that one happens. But again, somebody else is going to step in. They have to. And, and then if something goes wrong, the ace in the hole is you could always move Tyler Smith outside. And then, the guard positions, I'm not trying to minimize the guard position, but that left tackle position, pretty important.
It is, very much so. Let's, real quick, we got about 2 minutes. Jump on the other side of the ball. What's been the read on Mozzie Smith with Eberflus now as the coordinator through the spring and the first week and a half or so of camp?
Yeah, I think it looks like he's more active. We'll see. I know somebody put something on video or whatever that Tyler Smith pancaked him. Tyler Smith pancaked a lot of people to be an all-pro, right? That happens. But he needs reps. He needs to play. I know he played some last year. And the thing with those guys, they end up being first-round picks, like Guyton. He's the 29th pick in the draft. That's second round, right? Mm-hmm. And Mozzie, probably the same thing. It was mid to late 20s. And so, and now he's on his third defensive coordinator in 3 years. At first, they wanted him to penetrate. Then they wanted him to stay in there and hold down the ground. Now they want him to penetrate. So we'll see where that one goes. The good thing is Solomon Thomas is there. I think he'll give him something. Osa is pretty good. And it looks like with Matt Eberflus, he's not putting a premium on my nose tackle has to be 340 pounds. He wants guys active, sort of the Rod Marinelli philosophy of playing the offensive line. So we'll see where that one turns out. I can't wait to see their 7th round pick, Jay Toya, who is 340 pounds, by the way.
Yes.
And if nothing else, during the offseason, I think it was mini camp, they moved that ping pong table into the locker room. He held his own against Micah Parsons. All right. And it was almost like it was the championship match down to the last point. And here's this 340-pound guy, expressionless, just hitting the daylights of a ping pong ball, right? And you didn't expect it. So he caught my attention. Now he needs to catch it out on the field.
Absolutely. Mickey, before we let you go, the important question of the day. It's National Wing Day.
Wing Day.
Drums or flats?
Drums.
You had to think about that way too long.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking because my wife likes the flats, so we're good.
Yeah.
Right. and then when you said it, I was going, is he going to ask me bone or boneless? Right?
Well, boneless or nuggets, that doesn't count.
No, that is
that does
those
not
aren't
count.
wings. I
No.
might as well be eating a chicken breast or whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Although he eats boneless with a fork and knife.
Sometimes, yes. If I can't get messy, Mickey, I mean.
Well, then you get the dry rub on.
Yeah, exactly. Mickey, appreciate you
Good to be
stopping
with
by.
you guys. Anytime.
you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Mickey Spagnola from DallasCowboys.com here on the Blitz.